Okay, howdy everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am Vormithrax. We're going to play something different today. No Cataclysm. No, this is not Cataclysm. This is not a strange update to Cataclysm. This has nothing to do with Cataclysm, although it is set post-Cataclysm. I can't get away from the Cataclysm. So it is a fantasy, post-cataclysmic, turn-based strategy game called Trials of Fire by Whatboy Games. It's pretty new to early access. I think it's been out about a week in early access, and I've given it a little bit of a trial off camera just to kind of get a feel for things and know enough that I could explain some of the mechanics without being a total doofus. So I think I'm ready to go ahead and do some streaming and see what you guys also think. I'm really liking the mashup of elements in the game. It's kind of hard to describe without throwing out other game names. You'll recognize a lot of the flavors and things that they've pulled from other games. It gives me a lot of a feel of Slay the Spire the more I play it. In regards to the way the characters are used and how they're built up over the course of an adventure. It is set to be somewhat of a shortish game, meaning you go on an adventure and I think it's designed for like 90 to 120 minutes to get through. You'll see how it works here in just a second. But yeah, so Trials of Fire, Whatboy Games. They also are really responsive to player feedback, so if you are interested in the game, make sure you hit up their Discord channel, let them know where you heard about it, and if you have any suggestions for them, don't be shy about letting them know. They've been really good about taking player feedback and incorporating it. So let's get into it. So Trials of Fire, we're going to do the new adventure. That's pretty much our only choice. We've got an option for combat tutorial. I'm not going to do that. You'll get a good idea, and I'll explain as we go along what's going on. We have a card catalog, which we'll maybe look at a little bit later. Statistics, which is great for those folks that like to see the numbers about what kills they've had and how long it took, and there's lots and lots of stuff in there. We'll look at that later as well. Options are fairly bare bones at this point. I'm not sure just how many options you need for this kind of game. But yeah, there's not a lot in there, but you can adjust as necessary. As always with the new game, make sure you let me know if the volumes are set oddly or my face cam's in the wrong place and obstructing something, any of that good stuff. Just let me know in chat and I'll adjust. Alright, let's get into it though. We're going to pick new adventure. And everything is based on this big book. It's all kind of themed and placed inside this big adventure book. So these are the characters I've got access to currently. Warrior, Hunter, and Elementalist are the ones you start with, and then you eventually unlock additional ones. The Warlord's the only other additional one currently available. These coming soons are due for release later. They do have a roadmap already published showing what they're planning on releasing when, and it seems to be fairly feature complete in the structure and mechanics. And from here forward, most of it is content additions, tuning, balancing, things like that. So you can get a good idea of what else is on the way. But you can have quite a bit of fun with what's there currently. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use the base ones. I don't know why it keeps putting the Warlord in this slot. No, I want I want Elementalist here. I want Hunter there. And I want Warrior there. There. Warrior, Hunter, Elementalist. That's what I want. That's the basic starting group. You will also later have items apparently you can take into adventures with you, and this is where you can choose which quest you're going to go on. Right now there's just the one. We are going on the Water Gem quest, and we're going to go medium. This is new. Combat Run, I think, just got added. I haven't actually tried this option yet, so series of uninterrupted combat encounters. Test your combat and deck building skills in this abbreviated challenge, 45 to 60 minutes. Alright, so that's kind of an endless run combat challenge. No problem. We're going to do the quest, though. So we're going to stick with Water Gem quest. I've tried it a few times, 2 or 3 times, on medium difficulty. I've never tried the easy difficulty. And, yeah, I haven't succeeded yet. So we'll see how it goes. But that's pretty much it. So we only have the Water Gem main quest line. And you can see there it says, retrieve a living world relic to help save your dying people. 90 to 120 minutes. And I assume that time frame is going to be pretty heavily based on your familiarity with the game and being able to stick it out right to the very end and how long you take puzzling over the tactical combat encounters. If you are prone to analysis paralysis, stretch out that estimate, I guess. Alright, so back to the party composition. We're going with the basics here. So as we note, we've got the Warrior, fierce frontline fighter, specializes in dealing melee damage and defending against incoming attacks. The Hunter, damage from afar, uses ranged attacks or summoned pets to take down enemies before they can pose a threat to the party. And Elementalist. Elemental spellcaster, excellent at dealing damage to multiple enemies at once if positioned correctly. Yeah, that if positioned correctly is the tricky part. So, but yeah, that's the 3 we're going to take. You are limited to 3, so you can make any combination you want out of these 4, but 3 is the limit. So we've got the warrior, we can change the gender, starting abilities. So I'll talk more about this when we get into the game, but as you add or change equipment, basically each piece of equipment is tied to specific cards. Some of them are restricted to the various classes, and as you add equipment, basically you add cards to your deck. And that's where I get the Slay the Spire vibe. You actually build up a deck of cards for your character to have access to during the tactical combats via the equipment that he puts on. So another important aspect is the amount of cards you have. You want preferably a nice lean deck that you're going to be able to cycle through quickly to get your power combinations out often and commonly. There are mechanics to remove cards from the deck, so that's very much where I get the Slay the Spire vibe in that whole process. So he's got, like I said, a bone sword that's double strike and a bone armor that gives defensive stance cards. And I'll explain the details on the cards here in just a bit. So we've got the hunter. He's got a cracked short bow that provides the snapshot ability and a leather rags that provides the prepare ability, as well as the elementalist with a shaman rod that has flame fan and a leather rags that also provides prepare. That's pretty much. This just repeats what settings we've got. Let's go ahead and begin the journey. Now, there is a lot of text. I'm debating whether I'm going to read it all, so we'll see. I'll start reading it. I may change. Let me know if you guys have a preference. I'm not going to do funny voices for all the characters or anything like that. But the settlement Terralin is dying. Most crops will not grow in the blasted land. The settlement has relied on its hunters to bring meat from the beasts that roam the plains and to scavenge where they can. At first, the hunters were able to bring enough food to support the people by scavenging from the ruins of the living world. Finally, a solution is found in a living world tome scavenged from the remains of a grand library, the location of a water stone, an elven artifact of great power. The text describes the stone being used to create a waterfall to decorate the palace of an elven queen. No one needs to be reminded of the dangers of elven magic, the cause of the cataclysm that decimated the land, but after months of watching the people of Terralin succumb to hunger and disease, the settlement leaders decide that it is time to take action. Terralin can only spare enough supplies for a small party of warriors and hunters to go forth and seek the gem. The scholars estimate the journey will take several weeks, so the party is given as much food and supplies as can be spared. The scholars can tell you little of the area beyond the immediate surroundings, but it is unlikely your supplies will last for the entire journey. You will need to scavenge what you can from the living world ruins and the native beasts along the way. The party sets off early with the fate of Terralin resting on its success. Alright, whoa, that is an ugly starting place. So as you can see, everything takes place within the pages of this book, which is an interesting mechanic. It works just fine for the type of game it is. We've got our characters listed on the left. And the information that it's showing is their hit points, current and max, as well as their armor value. And armor value is added to hit points during combat. So if we entered combat right now, the warrior would start with 12. He would start with 11. And she would also start with 11. Up top, we have a journal showing our progress towards the quest. There are basically a few benchmarks along the way. This is indicating our resting condition and how fresh we are, basically. As this depletes, the bar will deplete as we wander around. We'll start taking negative consequences that we have to deal with, so we want to rest fairly often. This is our food supply. We have 5 food out of 10 maximum that we can carry, and that will deplete as we travel around as well. Healing herbs. And as it notes current healing herbs, if your heroes are wounded, you can consume 1 herb to heal that hero by dragging an herb onto their portrait. They're also used to heal critical damage. You'll take wounds if you fall in combat, but your party still wins the fight. Then you get dealt a wound card. There's a few various ones. They're pretty bad, so you want to try to get rid of those. And they take 2 of these healing herbs while you're resting at a campsite in order to remove that wound card. And then we have our gold. We have or actually they call it obsidian. We have obsidian as our currency. Obsidian coins are the most widely accepted currency on Ash following the events of the Cataclysm. Okay, so what are we looking at? Well, we've got our party in the center of the screen. Basically, the world is randomly, procedurally generated, so it's different every single time you play. And we have a quest marker. This is locate the rumored elven temple and retrieve the water gem for Terralin. So this arrow will always indicate the direction that we need to go for the next stage of our primary quest. Occasionally, if you get another quest from a character or an event, you'll have a second arrow that will be on the screen. These are locations with some kind of an event that may occur, and depending on if it's in the open world like this, or at this kind of a strewn temple pillar structure, or a village little graphic, you'll have chances of different events occurring. The events that occur are somewhat randomized. You'll get an idea pretty quickly of what's possible, but generally there's a little bit of text that we'll read. A lot of times we'll have to make choices, and our choices will lead to various branching paths that we can take advantage of or suffer the effects therefrom. So now I have to decide. We've got a couple of locations to the south, but our quest is telling us to go north. Now, the thing to realize is this food mechanic is basically a timer. That's the timing mechanic that is going to constantly be pushing us to be moving and finding new food and so on. This is what is going to limit us to how long we can just wander around. We can't wander around doing nothing for very long. You got to stay really, really focused. There have been some rebalances with a patch that came out yesterday regarding the food supply, because it was rough. Trying to get enough food to do any kind of moving off the direct path was pretty hard. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, keep an eye on that food mechanic. That's going to be the biggest problem we're going to run into, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move to these two locations. We'll see what happens there, and then we'll try to work our way north. I think this water stuff is going to slow us down. We might go around if we spot another special event location. But the key is, it's all random, completely random world. We're just going to roam around the wasteland here, loosely following our direction towards the quest location. We need to make sure we level up. We need to make sure we gear up, and because it's going to get harder and harder as time progresses and we go further through the quest line. So let's go to this one first. Let's see what happens. You can see, well, you could have seen, but we used up 0.2 of our food just moving that far. So you approach a large monolithic rock with dozens of differently colored horizontal layers. It looks like it used to be a whole section below the ground, which has somehow been dramatically forced upwards, presumably during the violent reshaping of the world during the cataclysm. Something catches your eye in a layer of rock about 20 feet up. It looks metallic with some sort of handle. Perhaps it's a relic of a bygone era. The cliff has been worn away over time, with some sections faring better than others, which makes it look climbable. I can either climb the cliff or decide not to risk it. Well, we're going to climb the cliff. And we're instantly going to have to fight. We have one choice. Malkin leaves her belongings, armor, and weapons at the bottom and begins to scale the rock. The impact of the elements over time means there are plenty of handholds, and aside from a couple of wobbles, Malkin reaches the relic without trouble. It's a silver cup inlaid with precious gems around the rim and looks like a valuable find. On the way down, she spots a group of approaching ratlings with their weapons drawn. Malkin shouts down to warn the others. So you'll see the ratlings is highlighted or a different color. If you point at it, you get a big description. I am not going to read all this. It's all flavor text about the world building. It is interesting. It's cool. Go ahead and read it on your own. Pause and watch later if you'd like. But yeah, there you go. So you can get details on the world and the themes and so on just by highlighting, which is pretty cool. Basically, big rat people, and they're one of the major races that we're going to be dealing with in the world. And you can get some information in here. I mean, it's not all total fluff. There probably is some clues to how you might deal with them in some of the encounters there, but we're just going to go right into the fight. Oh, let's actually look at a few other things before we do. I don't think I can switch anything right now. Oh yeah, we can go here. All right. No, let's jump into the fight, and then I'll explain from there. It'll be easier. Okay, here we are. We are in the scary fight mode. Okay, so this is a tactical combat simulator. Basically, it's an arena-style combat. All the encounters work this way. You'll have varying terrain implements inside the arena. It's just a big hex grid, basically, and we're always going to start on the left. From all my experience, they're always going to be on the right. You can see that there are my 3 characters, and we have 2 enemies. Each individual token or character on the field has their own deck of cards. So, this is the warrior. Notice the purple color around the base, and we've got purple color highlighting the cards. So when this turn starts, you draw up to 3 cards into your hand. So if you're down to 0, you'll draw 3. If you're down to 2, you'll draw 1, and so on. And then you can see how many cards are left in your deck over here by pointing. There's 8 cards left in my deck, and there's the list of what's available. So, this is the part that, like I said, gives me the Slay the Spire vibes, in that as we gear the character up, we'll be able to... Each piece of gear has different cards attached to it, and so you'll get a larger and larger hand of cards, or a deck of cards, as you continue to add gear to your character, which could be good, could be bad. I mean, it could give you good effects, but there could be effects you don't care about and you want to get rid of to slim the deck down. So there's a lot of strategy and tactics involved in the deck building. You also get to pick various card upgrades for the character as he levels up, which you'll see here shortly. But just note the colors: purple for these 3, this guy here, because the tokens are going to move around the board and you'll lose track. But the green border is the green cards here in the middle, and the purplish border here is for these 3 here. And the bad guys also have their own cards. So the Ratlings here, Ratling Guard and a Ratling Killer. The number shown is the hit points that they have available to them before they go down. Remember how I talked about the armor value is added to your base hit points? So we have 12 on our warrior because he had 10 starting hit points plus 2 from the armor, as shown right there above on the card. 10 in red and then 2 for the armor. And then the hunter's got 10 plus 1 and 10 plus 1. So most times you get to go first. I have had occasions or encounters where the enemy has ambushed me and they've gotten to take the first turn. But generally speaking, you're going to get to go first. Now here's where things get a little complicated. I need to talk about the mechanics of how the fight and movement and such works, so bear with me. It's the first time trying to explain it to people, so I may stumble around a bit as we get through this, but it'll become fairly obvious as I actually go through the turn. But you'll notice how some of the cards on my left are glowing. They have a little glowing golden border circling around them. We'll look at a card in detail here. So this is the advanced card. In the upper right corner is a space for the power points or willpower points it requires to actually use this card. The advanced card has no cost. That's why it's glowing currently. It's a card I can currently afford to cast with my available willpower pool. This is the willpower pool up here. And I'm going to read through that in a second, but just realize for the moment it says 0, so I can only cast currently cards that have no cost. So advanced, defend, and that one has no cards that don't cost anything. So that's why you're seeing some of them glow. How do you get more willpower? You get more willpower by discarding cards or by playing cards that have a later effect that will add to your willpower pool each turn. So, for example, the Adrenaline card says every time you play a card that deals melee damage, gain 1 willpower. That's an immediate willpower gain that you could then use. Some cards, though, actually, let's see, this one, Prepare. If I cast a Prepare card, it says gain 1 willpower at the start of your turn. So, that's basically like increasing your mana supply. That is a way you spend 2 points, and then from then forward, until that card goes away, you're going to gain a free willpower at the start of each turn. So that's a couple of ways to get your pool up. Now the main way you're going to get your willpower available is by discarding cards. All you have to do is trash a card, discard it, and it will give you a point of willpower that you can use. So let's say, for example, I didn't plan to use this advanced card. I can either trash it by right-clicking on it, and you'll see that it goes up there and I now have a point. You can also recover it if you decide not to do that. I can trash Adrenaline. It's still only worth 1 point, so you only get 1 point when you trash cards. It's not based on how many points it costs to summon them. But that's the primary mechanic. So you have to make some interesting decisions regarding what you're going to toss, what you're going to keep, what you're planning to use, and what you want to hold on to for future turns. Because you don't discard your hand at the end of the round. You keep whatever cards are still in your hand, and then you draw back up to 3 whatever is missing. So, you got to make some pretty complicated decisions regarding things you want to hold on to for future rounds, or do you discard it for willpower so you can power up some other stronger special ability this turn, and so on. It makes for a lot of interesting tactical, mechanical decisions you have to make, and I'm going to be pretty bad at it, so bear with me. So, what else to talk about real quick? Let's talk some more about this. So as it notes, drop a skill card here or right-click on it to recycle it. That gives you 1 point per. Recycled skill cards can be used this turn only as a willpower pay for other skill cards or to perform a move to action with the card's owner. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. So when I tossed, well, let's do a different example. When I got rid of Adrenaline, it either can be used for the 1 willpower point, or you'll notice the hovering circle around the character icon. I can now move that character up to 2 spaces in any direction using the power of that card. So it's an either or. I can either use it for the willpower, or I can move the character. As soon as I move the character, it's going to remove that point of willpower, and it's no longer going to be available. So let's cancel that. Get the cards back. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let me just do a few moves, and I'll kind of talk about what we're doing here. We have to kill both of the ratlings, though. That's the goal. So they're basically going to charge right at me across the field here. There are some complicated effects during combat that can occur. We'll get into those as things get closer. But I've got some ranged attacks on my guys. They don't have any ranged attacks. They have no archers. They have no spellcasters. So it's in my interest to try to hit them as much as possible while they're approaching, if I can manage it. So, looking at my cards, I've got my Hunter, the ranged fire specialist. He's got a power shot. It's a ranged attack with 2 damage. You'll note it says, ranged attack, deal damage to an enemy at any distance. Ranged attacks are blocked by any characters or obstacles between the attacker and the target. And then it says, not enough willpower. So, it's going to cost me 2 willpower points to be able to use that ability. I can hit anybody I can see. And you'll notice if I point at a character like the Ratling here, this guy, you see an eyeball pop up above his head? He's the only one that can spot the Ratling. That Ratling, he's also the only one that can spot. So, this terrain is blocking line of sight to that one, and probably this terrain is blocking line of sight to that one for these characters. So, you can see just by pointing at the character who they can see. So, when I point at my character, you can see the Ratlings will pop up as in line of sight. No line of sight, no line of sight. So, it's very easy to know who can see what. And you'll also, when you're doing certain attacks, when you're drawing the line to pick the attack, it'll show in red which piece of debris or whatever in the environment is actually blocking line of sight. So these little cliff obelisks are what is going to block line of sight. So let's do this. I'm going to get rid of the defend card. They're not going to be able to attack me this round. I'm not going to use this card, so I'm going to get rid of it for the points. I'm not going to move him. I'm also not going to use cantrip this round. We're going to get rid of that. I'm not going to swipe with my magic person. We'll get rid of that. And let's hold off for the rest. Alright, so now we've got power shot and snapshot both available to us. We've got 3 points available to use. And this is a universal pool. You don't have to use these points for this particular character. So as you saw, I was discarding cards from here, but I'm going to use them for this character. The only thing that's specific to the character is the movement possibility. So in order for this person to move, this person has to discard a card to be able to move 2 spaces. I can't discard one from here and then have somebody else use that as a movement token. But let's do a power shot. We're going to have to move first, actually. So we got rid of 1 card from him. Let's move... I think we'll move up to the north side here. So if I move here, notice that the 2 opponents now both have the eye symbol. So that tells me if I move to this location, I'll be able to see both of them. If I move there, I'll be okay. If I move down here, I'm not gaining anything. So we're going to move to here. We'll have good line of sight on both of the enemy, and it tucks our archer back behind our warrior a bit. It decreased our mana pool by 1 because we used the 1 point that he discarded a card for to move instead of fire, but we still have enough. So let's look at these. Power shot is just 2 damage. Snapshot, though, says ranged attack 2, and it's plus 2 damage if the target is either immobilized or is not adjacent to any other character or obstacle. This guy is not adjacent to any characters, and he's not adjacent to any obstacles. So if I fire a quick shot for 1 point of will, I'll actually get 4 points of damage on that Ratling. This guy's adjacent to the obstacle, so I'll only get 2 points if I tag him. So let's go ahead and spend the 1 point. Now, notice where if I put the cursor, you'll see the little red dot start to glow. That's showing that wherever I'm pointing is being blocked by that particular piece of terrain. So I haven't yet had any problems actually making intelligent decisions. I seem to be given all of the information I need to make smart choices on the battlefield. And you'll notice right there it shows in green the 4 symbol, showing I'm going to get all 4 points of damage against him, but I'm only going to get 2 points against that guy. So we're going to go for that shot right there. Okay, so he's down to 4 health, and we're going to continue. I'm thinking I might advance the warrior just to bring him up a few spaces so he can play blocker against that one. I think my archer's going to finish that guy off before he shows up. Ratlings are pretty quick. They can actually cross the board in just 1 or 2 turns, depending on what cards they get. So, let's see. I was hoping to get the prepare card out. Let's assume we're not going to bother to swipe. We're not going to do adrenaline. I want to get the prepare card out. That way we get an extra willpower next turn. You can see the symbol here. Now when I point at the character, it's going to show what effects are attached to that character. And I need to talk about something else. So there's different types of cards. Basic, combat, power, and so on. This was a power card. It denotes it on the right side vertically. It says the word power in purple right below the cost. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a number 4 in a green triangle. That number represents how many damage points this character can take until that card gets discarded. So as long as this character doesn't take 4 points of damage, this power will stay in effect. But as soon as 4 points of damage land on this character, that card is going to get discarded and will no longer be in place. So it's an important thing to realize. Your cards are not permanent, these powers. You have to kind of prepare and protect the characters that you level up or you power up with these abilities so that they can keep them as long as possible. Okay, so we've got 1 point. I could discard the advance and then take a power shot at the rat if I'm okay with the positioning. Otherwise, I'm going to have to hold the power shot until next round. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. I think it's more important to get the extra damage on the ratling. I don't think they'll be able to get all the way to us in 1 round, but they might. We'll see. So we'll discard that and get us the 2 willpower. We'll take the power shot. And then we're done. We got no cards left. We got no points left. We got nobody active in any way. After that, we just hit the little hourglass to flip our turn. We draw our cards up. Now the enemy gets to go. He casts Defend, which gives him some armor. And he's advancing. Another Defend. Alright. These Defend cards are temporary armor boosts. They actually get cut in half at the end of the turn. Or they get decremented when they take damage. So if I shot this guy for 2 points, it would all basically ping off the armor, and then the armor would be removed. So I have to basically hit him for 4 points to kill him at this stage. And him I have to hit for 8. Okay, what do we got? We got more cards. Let's look at some cards. So Defend, you just saw the enemy use. This is a free card, no cost, and it basically gives you a couple of points of protection. Wild Swing costs 3. It's expensive, but it is a melee attack that deals 1 to 6 damage. So it just rolls the random die, and that's how much damage it's going to do. The other Defend, so I can bulk up my warrior with a couple of Defend cards. We've got Power Shot that we had last round. We also drew another Advance and a Standard Swipe, which is a base melee attack. 1 cost for 2 damage. Another swipe for our mage person, but we got Flame Fan. I love Flame Fan. So, deal 3 damage and inflict burning to all characters in the target area. So at the bottom of this, you can see the little symbol there in gray is where I'm standing, and then the red indicators are the spaces where the Flame Fan will occur. It doesn't have to be straight to the right. You can fire it in any direction you choose. That just shows the pattern that the Flame Fan is going to expand out into. So I could hit a total of 4 characters or 4 enemies. I can also hit friendlies. So there is friendly fire in this game. Be really careful with magic. You can do a lot of damage to yourself if you're not cautious about how you use it. So he's in range of my Flame Fan, though, because it'll go out exactly 2 spaces. So if I kick out a Flame Fan, it's going to deal burning damage. So it's going to hit for 3. Then it's going to inflict burning, which is going to do an additional 3. So if you look at the pop-out on the right of the Flame Fan card, it notes the burning effect. Character takes 3 magic damage at the end of its turn. So it'll be 3 immediate damage, plus 3 additional damage once it has taken a single turn. So I can guarantee kill him if I can get rid of his armor and then hit him with the Flame Fan. He'll have 1 turn to do something, but then he'll be dead. So this is where I have to start making some decisions. Unfortunately, the warriors, man, I really wanted to get the warrior into things, but it's going to suck up a lot of my power just to do the Wild Swing. So we didn't get a lot of good choices here. I could advance my wizard out of the path of the rat killer. I don't have any defense options, so I'm just going to have to take whatever the rat killer dishes out to me unless I can either block his movement or do something else. I do have... Let's see, I don't even have an advance on this guy. I'd have to get rid of the defends in order to move. And I'd need to do 2 of them because he's 3 spaces away. What to do? We can't power shots and kill the guard any longer because he got his defense up. I could just leave the warrior. We could sacrifice all the cards for points. Then I could power shot, advance, and 1, 2. I can't quite get to that either. That's not cool. I was thinking I could advance and swipe to get the last 2 points, but I can only move 3 spaces. I won't quite get in range to actually hit him with the swipe either. He's definitely going to get to us this turn. Well, I think what I'm going to do... 1, 2, 3, 4... That's what we'll do. Alright, we're going to... We're going to leave the archer. We're not going to be swiping with him. We're not going to defend. Let's go ahead and... whoops, not wild swing. We're going to move you up. And we're going to move you up again. Now notice the axe symbols. That denotes that you're moving into a zone of control and you have to stop at that point. In addition, if you try to move from a zone of control to another position in the zone of control, they'll get a free swing at you. So you'll take a lot of damage that way unnecessarily. I'm going to plant the warrior in front of the mage. That'll force him to deal with the warrior. Actually, I want to do this in the right order. First, we're going to... no. We're going to flame fan this guy. Now that we've got that applied, now we're going to move the warrior down. And then I've got enough points to power shot still. Or I can get rid of the power shot. I'll have 3 points and I can wild swing this guy. And there's a possibility I can kill him this round. That sounds more fun. Let's do that. Let's sacrifice that. Do a wild swing. Come on, 5 or 6. Oh, we didn't get it. Alright. And we're done. Alright, he advanced. Now there's bad things going to happen. There is... Yep, here it comes. Watch what happens. Combo attack. Oh, no. Oh, that's alright. That's right. He's going to die. Destroyer achievement. Alright, let's talk about combo attacks. So if you have multiple units adjacent to an enemy, one of your units initiates a melee attack, your other adjacent units will get to apply a portion of damage as well. It's usually 1 additional point, unless they have special abilities. There are some special abilities that will boost their combo attack power. So you can rush your fighter in, buff them up with a bunch of block and armor and such, and then you can stack your other guys adjacent to the enemy, and each one of your guys can fire off a melee attack, and all of the other ones will assist. So you can really put out a lot of damage if you're willing to get everybody involved in the action. But our burning damage did finish the other guy off. We took 2 points on our warrior. Not a big deal, because that's the armor amount that we started the combat with as a bonus. So we haven't actually taken any hit point damage yet. So if we can kill this guy this round, we'll have basically a flawless victory with no downsides. So we've got swipe, swipe, and we've added double strike. Basically, melee attack 2, followed by a second melee attack 2. It's important to note those 2 separate attacks because of the combo attacks. Basically, this would cause 2 combo attack pulses to go on. So if I moved the mage up to here, then moved him to here, we'd have all 3 guys adjacent. And if I did the double strike, it would be double strike, combo, double strike, combo. So we get 4 bonus damage basically out of that. But we've also got lots of chaos missiles we can throw out. Deal 1 damage to all enemies within 3 spaces. So that's like a magic missile. You basically cost 1 point, and it does 1 damage to every single enemy that's within 3 spaces of the mage. So if you've got a group of enemies, then that's a really good one to kick out. And there's no targeting needed. It'll hit them regardless of where they're at. So it'll go around corners and over obstacles and so on. So, what do we got? We've got prepare, power shot, focus. We're not going to need to focus. It's not going to go another round. Our warrior is the one that's got all these strikes, so he's going to easily finish this guy off. Let's just finish him off. We've already got the 2 points. Okay, we have victory. Reward time. So, aside from the cup, which upon closer inspection appears like it might be of dwarvish origin, you scavenge a few useful items from the rattling troop. So, these are what we've scavenged. We got obsidian coins, 49. We got a silk robe that has armor rating 2 and provides the quick thinking card. Draw a card. The next skill card you play this turn costs -1 willpower. We got some food. That's always useful. And some more obsidian coins. We'll take all of that. And then we've got a hero level up. We get to pick which hero is going to level up. We only have one remaining, so only one of these guys is going to level up this round. Let's do our main warrior. So, on the level up screen, you have 9 skills in your base class. I now get to pick one of these skills to replace one of these with. So these are all pretty basic. You're going to generally want to replace most of these over the course of the adventure if you can manage it. The cards that you get as upgrades are almost universally better than the basic ones, but you can never have more than 9. So your deck consists of whatever 9 cards you've got selected, either from the starting group or from any upgrades from leveling up, plus whatever gear you've accumulated. That's how your deck is designed or is created. Okay, this is a new mechanic, this redraw mechanic. So we're going to gain a health by leveling up also, and we get a redraw. Redraw is what it sounds like. Basically, once per combat, I get to throw out the hand I'm holding and draw 3 new cards. And as you level up, I think you get additional redraws. I have no idea how far apart they are. This is part of the brand new patch that I haven't played with yet, so I'll have to get used to having this as an option. And then we have a button that we can view the deck. So now I can see all the cards that are in the deck, including the ones from equipment. So you can see here it says equipment. These are my equipment cards. These are my class cards, the 9 cards I started with in the class. Alright, so let's put that away. I don't really care. So what do we got? We got a 1-cost Bulwark. Basically is Defend 6. The big old defense card. Absorb damage done to the character. All characters lose half of their remaining defense at the start of their turn. So as I mentioned, defense is temporary. You cast a defense action, and you gain that defense for that combat round. If you still have defense at the end of the round, it cuts it in half, so it depletes itself over time. It's not permanent. We have Measured Blow, which is a really nice card. I like this one. It's only 1 cost, and it gives melee attack 2, but also defensive 2. So, if you look at Swipe, cost of 1 for just melee attack 2. So I love swapping out Measured Blow in place of Swipe. Exact same cost, exact same damage, but bonus 2 defense. Counter Strike, melee attack of 4, which is a really good number, and you get to draw a card, which you could then use to power up as willpower or use in some other way. You may only play this card if you were the attack or the target of a melee attack last turn. And Resilience, defend 2 at the beginning of your turn. It is a power, only costs 1 to cast. Basically, you get 2 free defense at the beginning of each turn until the card gets tossed because of 4 points of damage. Again, the number 4 in that green triangle, or in the upper left. That's not a triangle. So, what are we going to take? I really like Bulwark. That's really good for running him into the middle of combat. There's also a card he gets that he runs forward 3 spaces, and any enemies within 3 spaces of him get pulled directly towards him. So you do that action, then you do Bulwark, and you've got a whole bunch of enemies all tightly grouped, and then you have your mage step up and lay down the AoE massacre. So there's a lot of fun things you can do. It does randomize which cards you have options for each time you level up. So I like all of these. I think I'm gonna go with Bulwark though. I want that Defend 6 for particular situations. So let's switch out. We have a Defend here. It's 0 cost for Defend 2. I think I'm gonna switch it out for a 1 cost Defend 6. And then we're back out on the map. Let's go to the next location. Alright, you see the remains of a giant column. The base is formed of many neatly arranged stone blocks, but the top surface is a small, messy mound of honey-colored bricks. You think you can see something glinting in a gap between two of the bricks. You try to dislodge one brick, but to your surprise, it falls into some kind of cavity. It's only when you hear a loud splashing sound a few seconds later that you realize it's actually an ancient well, not a column. You clear away the mound of bricks from the top. They are resting on two large wooden beams which span the diameter of the well and cross in the center. Beneath it is a remarkably well-preserved rope and bucket attached to a pulley. In order to lower the bucket, though, you must climb down onto the wooden beams. So, either lower the bucket to see if there's fresh water, or move on. You're not sure whether this ancient wooden platform will take your weight. Lower the bucket. Raston tentatively places one foot on one beam, then the other foot on the other beam. It doesn't seem to move, so he begins to lower the bucket. It eventually strikes the surface of the water, which he can't see very well. A dark cloud moves overhead, so you're not able to see what's in the bucket as you pull it up. It looks like fresh water, but there's no way you can be sure. Raston tries the liquid. It tastes slightly metallic, but not unpleasant, and doesn't seem to do he any harm. Alright, 1 second. Let me make a note. Submit a request to fix. Well, challenge. Bucket. Doesn't seem to do he any harm. And where are we at in the stream? 44 minutes. Alright. Don't mind me. I've been sending them typo messages. So we got a food supply. That's great. That replaces the food we've taken coming south. So we got that. That's right. I got to go get that silk robe done. All right. So that was a pretty simple one. So we're back up to 6.4 food. We gained some food, but let's do this. Let's take a look at our gear. So silk robe. We picked up the silk robe, armor 2, and it gives the quick thinking card. Probably to the mage. She's currently got leather rags with prepare. I doubt I'm going to get that prepare off too often with her. I'd rather have this one. I'd rather get a card and have other skill cards cost less willpower. So it's both a draw a card, which can gain you a willpower, and the next skill you play costs less. So it's really a 2 willpower bonus that I don't have to wait for and I don't have to spend 2 power for. So I'm going to go with that. We're going to swap that out. So that swapped the quick thinking out with the prepare card. Oops, don't need that. Go away, menu. Alright. I keep wanting to hit escape to close the book. The book never closes. I don't see a good way around this. I don't remember. Does this slow me down? It seems to be okay. That's going to keep me from going through. I'm going to have to go around the water. Oh, crap. They're going to give me a super big lake I'm going to have to go around. Well, this is bad map gen. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. My quest is on the other side of an ocean. Notice how we've already burned through almost half of the food that we had available. And we haven't seen a single other location yet. I picked the wrong direction. Apparently, I should have gone left. We're also tired. If I try to sleep without being on some kind of a building or such, things are going to be bad. Let's try to get to this. We're now drained, which is going to have a really bad effect. And we still haven't seen the end of this water. We got pretty screwed by the map gen, by the way. This is really bad. We're going to end up getting ended here pretty quick. Alright, ahead of you is a tall, dark, column-like structure with sharp peaks and troughs that make it look like a colossal flickering fire has been frozen in stone. The black surface glints with a frosty sheen, which seems odd, given it is quite warm where you're standing. Taking a few more steps towards it, the air temperature falls rapidly and your breath becomes icy. You all start to lose feeling in your hands after a few seconds. This feels too planned to be a freak atmospheric phenomenon. It feels like a protective enchantment. You walk around the icy perimeter to investigate further and spot a narrow opening in the base of the column. You can tell that this protective enchantment is going to take a toll if you choose to proceed. No, explore it. Take the toll. Uh-oh. Jara volunteers for the task and runs straight for the opening. Inside, there's a spiral stone staircase heading upwards and a wooden ladder leading downwards. let's go down. Dara cautiously calls out a greeting, but there's no reply. When she reaches the bottom of the stairs, she spots an acolyte fast asleep at a desk with a lead pencil in her hand. Jara creeps over to her and spots sleeping tonic success written on her piece of parchment. Some food. She helps herself to a few supplies, then makes her way out with a smile, resisting the urge to write something amusing on her parchment. Alright. Okay, so now we're actually at a place where we can find shelter from the environment. If you try to camp out on the wasteland, it's not very good camping. You gain less stamina, and you don't have a lot of good choices. So it's much, much preferred to get to some kind of settlement or even a building like this where you can take shelter. You'll recover more stamina than otherwise. Now here's the big problem. In order to rest for a night, we have to chew an entire food. So we've only got 3.8. It's going to use up an entire 1.0 of that for us to bed down and rest for the night. We will heal 1 point. All of our characters are at max, so I don't care about that. But we have to get our stamina back. We can't let this continuously drain. It's going to have really bad effects on us. Notice at the bottom of that little pop-up it says, drained, add 3 exhaustion cards to each hero's deck for every battle. So that's not good. That's wasted cards that aren't going to help us while we're trying to fight. We have no injuries to heal, so we don't need to worry about that. We can't craft. We don't have any crafting materials. And there's other choices that can appear on this list depending on NPCs that you might get to join your party. There's one that allows you to hone weapons, which lets you remove effects from cards. So if you get a piece of equipment that has 3 different cards attached to it and you don't want one of them, you can use the hone ability during a camping session to prune away that particular card, and that thins down your deck and makes it more slim and optimized. So all we can do really is rest. We don't have anything else we can really do. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Use up one of our precious food. Oh, it only used half. That's different. Alright, well, we're going to rest again then. And I don't think I can afford to rest again. We've got this unending ocean between us and our quest location. This is ridiculous. I haven't had an ocean this big, or a water area this big between me and the quest before. Alright, let's break camp though. We got almost back to full. So we'll break camp and we'll keep moving. We got 2 more out here. If we can get enough food, we might get enough to work our way back to where we came from. Alright, you approach 2 gigantic rocks. One is upright and the other is toppled over, covered in scorch marks. As you get closer, you realize that the fallen rock has crushed an old tower and cleaved a crevice in the ground that looks large enough to climb into. Suddenly, a young, slightly bumbling human emerges from the crevice, begins to speak, but then trips over. He tries to speak again, but is rather hampered by a mouthful of earth. She seems relieved to see you and tells you that her master, a mage, has been in the tower when an aurora storm struck the rock which toppled over. So you can see humans have their own little message, and Aurora Storm. This is basically something that can happen in combat encounters. It makes it so that randomly placed bad locations are on the map you're fighting on, and you have to continuously move your characters to get out of the way of the storm that's about to occur, otherwise you take damage. There's a few different environmental effects that can happen out in the cataclysmic wasteland here that you have to account for during combat. We're going to go ahead and offer to help the woman. She tells you that you could help her by allowing her to join your group. She tells you she has learned many incantations from her master. Sure. Ah, pretty lady. Sandra, the apprentice. Interesting picture for Sandra. So, enchantment enables honing items as a camp activity. Well, that's the one I was talking about. So, now with Sandra, if we get items that have multiple cards attached, we can use her ability to remove certain ones. Continue. She utters a few solemn words about the kindness of her former master, packs up her things, and joins your group. Now, she doesn't act as a combat toon, she just provides that ability during camping. Alright, let's hop over to the next one. Uh-oh, what we got? In the distance, on a gently sloping mound, you see the remains of what looks like a large building. Walking up to it from the front, it gives off an ordered sense of symmetry. It's only when you are standing within the center of it that you realize that this is no ruined building at all. It's the skeletal carcass of a colossal creature. The entrance has been fashioned by its great jaws. Inspecting the bones that form the rib cage, you don't notice a band of angry ratlings approaching from the east. Their leader tells you that you have entered the sacred temple of Eutheria. and that your presence here is a gross violation. She tells you they will allow you to move on unmolested for a sum of 75 obsidian and some food as an offering to Eutheria. I can agree to their demands, I can haggle, I can refuse. I refuse! I have no food to give you. I'm not even going to try to haggle. Yep, straight into the fight. Oh, yuck. Archers! They have archers! Okay, that's right. I have the redraws option. So, as your heroes grow in combat experience, they will earn a number of redraws, which can be used in each battle. To use a redraw, click on the redraw icon to the left of your hero's hand, and you will discard all cards from that hand and draw a new set of cards. Use redraws sparingly to get out of a dangerous situation or help set up a devastating combo. Note that non-recyclable cards cannot be redrawn. Alright, cool. So, there's our redraw button. What do we got? So, we've got a rattling bowman. He's just going to stand back and pepper us with arrows. Another rattling bowman. And a rattling guard. Hey there, Dax again. Thanks for the follow. Welcome. Alright. Hey, Positronic's back. Thanks for the resub, Positronic. What to do? So... we either need to bum rush those archers, or I've got to get rid of them at range. Unfortunately, the Elementalist, we got no magic this round. And none of her magic is really long-ranged anyway. So I'm going to have to rely on the Hunter, and he also got no ranged attacks. So we're going to be charging. And of course, the Warrior, who I want to charge, didn't get any movement. Well, this sucks. How are we going to do this? Another option is we could hide behind terrain if I can find positions that keeps me out of line of sight of his archers. That's another possibility. So, for example, if I use this right here, if I move here, the Enchantress, at least, is out of line of sight of both of his archers. Now, that doesn't stop them from shifting position and then firing, which they'll do, but at least it gets her out of immediate danger there. Alternatively, I can try to defend enough to basically fend off the arrows as they come in. So she's got one guy line of sighting on her, he's got one, he's got one. So in their current positions, they're each only going to get hit by one of the archers. I could just move the warrior forward and then bulwark for 6, and he'll probably take most of the shots. I'm actually curious. Is the redraw effect... anybody remember from the description? Is the redraw effect draw up to 3 again? Or is it discard your hand, and for each card you discard, you draw a new one? I'm trying to figure out is if I actually use all 3, can I hit redraw and draw 3 brand new cards? Or do I have to discard in order to get a new card? Can't remember technically how that works. Well, we'll try to survive without using it for the moment. Yeah, so I could defend on the lady here. Or I can... Let's do this. Let's not plan on using adrenaline. Let's get him moved up a little bit. That'll put him in line of sight of both of the archers. That'll get him one step closer to the northern one. Let's do that. Let's get the mage moved up behind. He's not going to swipe. We'll get bulwark put on the warrior. Do I want to reposition you? He's now covered. He can't get shot by either. So the bulwark is protecting both. Nobody's going to get shot except for that person, unless they change position. Yeah, I think I'll save the points. We'll do focus. We'll kick focus out on the archer. That way every time I play a card that deals range damage, I gain a willpower. So we're not going to advance. We're not going to swipe. We'll get those cards back easily. That gives me the 2 points. So Yeah, we'll defend for the mage. No reason not to. We'll focus. And I could swipe and move again. But I don't think I'd be able to cover... If I got rid of that and I moved here, both of the ratlings would see me. I'm really tempted to move here. That way I'm within striking distance next round of that guy just by discarding a card, because I'll be able to move 2, and then I'll be able to hit him. I think this will draw all their fire. I'm not certain it's blocking line of sight here. That's one thing I can't tell. As long as nothing changes, I can actually move, and then I can rescind that. So let's actually do it, and then I'll check line of sight. So the lower ratling gets line of sight on the mage, but she's got the points to protect against a standard shot. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'd rather do that maneuver right there. Alright, we're out of cards, we're out of power. Let's see what the rats do. Offensive stance. And shoot. Yeah, you went for them. Damn it. Should have known. Apparently they are going to ignore the guy up front. Alright, what do we got? We got Chaos Missile, we got the Flame Fan. The Flame Fan by itself won't kill him, but we do have the Quick Thinking. That's the new card we got from our cloak. Doesn't cost us anything. We get to draw a replacement card, and the next skill I cast is -1 willpower, so I could do a Chaos Missile for free, or a Flame Fan for only 2. I'd have to relocate her. Let's do that. We'll see what options we get. So we got Cantrip, and you'll notice it's showing in green. It just flipped it to green, and then 1, 2, 0. So it's showing the cost savings, and it's showing in green to tell you that you're getting that effect from some other card. Alright, so the Cantrip is every time I play a card that deals magic damage, I gain a willpower. So if I can get the Cantrip out and then cast Chaos Missiles, I'll basically get the free point that I can use elsewhere. So that's pretty powerful. Each of the classes seems to have their own version of this. So the mage has the Cantrip. We got the focus out for the ranged guy. Every time he does range damage, I gain a willpower. And there's another one for the warrior that he has as well. Alright, so how we're going to do this? Who's going where? We do have an advance. Notice my defense cut in half, so we drop from 6 to 3 at the end of our round. That's the natural decay of the defense mechanic. I can go defensive stance, defend 2 after performing a melee attack. So while I have that as an active power, every time I attack, I get free 2 points of defense. So if I have 2 points, I could advance, swing, or advance, defensive stance, and then swing on that guy. And we do 2 damage, we gain 2 points of defense back. So I'd like to do that if we can manage it. And then these guys, I've got Snapshot and Power Shot. And because we've got the ability up, we're going to get a willpower back. So I'm thinking of relocating both of these guys. But I'm not going to get all 3 of these out. Flame Fan does the most damage by far. It's just delayed 3 points up front and then 3 points after the end of their turn. If I do this and we get you to... Can't see from there. I'm trying to get to 3 spaces away. So if I go all the way up here, I've got direct line of sight to that guy to shoot him. That'll do damage plus get me a point of willpower back. And that gets me out of line of sight of those 2 archers. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put you up there. Now, how am I going to pay for everything? That's going to be the problem. That guy... Ooh. Ooh. Cancel that. Give me that back. I just realized that ratling is off by himself with no friendlies and no terrain next to him. I could do 4 points of damage on that guy with a snapshot. I still gonna have to move though. This is blocking my line of sight. And And this, I could then advance to here and kill this guy. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, we're going to change things up. We're going to advance you. If I put you here, you can get shot from the north. If I put you here, you can't. And that'll also keep me from blocking line of sight, I hope. Then we're going to... I don't know how I'm going to pay for all this. We're not going to power shot. We are going to advance. If I advance to here, I can shoot that guy I was interested in. And that gets me out of line of sight and out of range of everything else. So I like that. So let's do the snapshot. That's... Whoops. Oh! I did this in reverse again. How far back can I go? Oh, I'm screwed. I screwed it up. I should have done the shot and then moved. Now that I have a character next to him, I can't get the bonus. My bad. Messed up the timing. Alright. Well, let's do the same thing, but just other targets then. Alright, we're not going to power shot. Take the snapshot. That gets me the willpower back. Let's go defensive stance. And... not in range to do that. I think I'm going to end up holding these for a round. Or I have to get rid of cantrip. Get rid of cantrip so we can do the swipe. Unfortunately, we're not going to kill him. Now I have to decide. I could discard one of these to move. Or I can... No, actually I can advance forward and I can Chaos Missile. Can't get in range to kill that guy. Yeah. Can't quite make it. Let's get rid of the Flame Fan. Move north. And we'll save the Chaos Missiles for next round. Alright, first one's moving. Oh, now they're going to do some... See, I hate that mechanic. I'm going to have to make... Let me make a note, another note. I hate the mechanic that allows them to do ranged fire when I've got a melee guy standing next to them trying to chop their head off. I disagree with that mechanic. I think my guy here should be suppressing their ranged fire. I gotta remember to ask them about that. They're not allowed to shoot me in melee, so they can't fire their bows at me when I'm adjacent, but they're allowed to shoot other people. So we're getting pretty hammered. We're taking a lot more damage than I really should have probably with this fight. Alright, let's see, what are we going to do here? So I got 1 point left on that archer. That guy didn't even move. We got double Chaos Missiles. No fancy stuff. All of my abilities have been shot off my guys, except for the defensive stance. I can swipe and wild swing. That's going to cost 4 points if I don't do anything with those guys. You're definitely not going to be using that. You're not going to be using that. Kill that guy. It's possible a wild swing will kill this guy. I'm going to try to do that, so we're not going to move. Need 1 more point, and then whatever I'm going to do to that guy. Let's assume we're not going to do that. Come on, lucky number 5 or 6. Oh, missed it by 1. Can I get in range? I can get in range. We're going to cancel that. We're going to move up. And we're going to cancel that, and we're going to launch Chaos Missile. Fortunately, I'm probably now in range for him to come up and melee me. Bend. Advance. And he didn't have enough points to swing. Alright, that's a long way to run. And I have no movement abilities. 1, 2... I'm going to be one short again. I don't have enough points to get my main warrior guy up here. I'm also trapped in the corner. I won't be able to move my my hunter out because I'll have zone of control stopping me. I also can't use power shot because I can't attack directly adjacent to me with ranged attacks. I don't need those. Oh, we got the unstable blast. Well, that'll help. So unstable blast, magic attack 3, all targets in the indicated area. So it's a column of fire. I can hit all 3 of these spaces with a column of fire. It's going to do 3 points of damage, so it'll take off the armor and do 1 additional point. But this guy's going to get roasted. We're going to have a hero go down. I'm not going to be able to kill this guy fast enough. Yeah, I have no way of fixing that. So I can, well, I can sort of get him out of here. If we move to there, then I can get him to here. Yeah, redraw's looking pretty good. I like the double strike, but I think I am going to use the redraw. Well, let's see what happens. Well, we did get into advance. That's still not going to get me close enough. We got the wild swing back, but it's still, I don't think, going to be not enough damage. I'd do 1, 2, 3. Then I'd have to do another card to get 2 more spaces to get adjacent. So it'd be advance plus adrenaline to get him in range. Then I have to get 3 cards. I have to get 3 willpower, so I'm going to have to ditch stuff to do it. It'll be close. Oh, it undid the redraw. That's interesting. Alright, well, let's get moving there. Ditch the adrenaline. Get you in range. Now I am gonna get... Alright, here's what we need to do. Ditch that. How much are we going to do here? This could do 6, 7, 8. I'm going to not have quite enough. Can't do that. Three guaranteed damage, or if I get rid of this, I won't be able to do both of these. I can't get to 4 power, no matter what. So, I should do the 3 damage, get rid of the swipe, and then do the wild swing. No. I don't have the power for that either. What am I thinking? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it no matter what. Alright, I'll get rid of that. Do the wild swing. Rather get rid of that one. I'm going to hold the blast for the next round. Alright, well, this is where we're going to get roasted. Iron Taunt. What the hell use is that? I'm already adjacent. Draining Strike wasn't too bad. He just got powered up on his defense. I was fearing some major damage cards, but apparently he didn't have it. Alright, so we do have the Blast. Got the Chaos. Got a Swipe. Swipe. But we got to do 13 damage. Go away. Go away. Go away. Alright. One point. Victory! Yeah, my hunter got hit a couple times from range. That felt a little rough. He got hit pretty hard. They maneuvered and shot him. I don't like that mechanic where the I don't suppress archers. I think that's wrong. I think that's bad. Alright, so we got some food, a sturdy bone, that's a crafting material we can use to craft items with, and some more obsidian. We'll grab all that, and let's level up to the hunter. Alright, hunter, so we have a Deadeye Power, 2 points, all ranged attacks deal +2 damage. That's awesome, until you look at the number of points that it takes to get it removed. If he takes 2 points of damage, it gets stripped off of him. So it's awesome as long as you can keep him from getting hit, but any kind of damage incoming is pretty much going to strip that off of him, so it's hard to keep it on. Hit and run, melee attack of 2, and then he gets to retreat 2. That's a really cool one. I like that one, actually. Take aim, another power. All ranged attacks deal +1 damage, and only has one ability, or one, what do they call that? Resilience. They call that resilience. Only has 1 point of resilience, but it doesn't cost anything, so it's an easy power to pop out and get extra free damage from for a short period. And then Flare inflicts exposed to all enemies in the target area. So a big center space plus every space adjacent. Basically, a flare goes over top, they're exposed. And as you can read on the right, exposed character takes 1 additional damage from melee, ranged, and magic damage. So that's pretty cool. If you can get that situation like I mentioned where you have your fighter run forward and he does that pull attack that draws them all into a big cluster, then you have your hunter put a flare up over top of them, and then any other damage that comes in, you get an extra point. Let's see. The obvious swap outs are things like hit and run for swipe. So they both cost 1, but you're going to gain the ability to move 2 after you get your damage in. Deadeye and take aim. I'd probably take aim over Deadeye, just because the 2 points for only 2 resilience just is... It's so hard to keep that on that guy. Flare's cool, but I don't think I have it really set up to take advantage of that yet. Hey, Super Resky. Welcome. Thanks for the follow. So I think I'm just going to stick with either take aim or hit and run. Let's go with hit and run. Let's get one of these swipes swapped out.